Hey traders, I'm going to get right off into this video and explain to you where you can find your Japanese candlestick. If you look on your chart, on your MT4 chart, and look at the very top, you're going to see something like this here. Okay, so go to your MT4. Let me write it down for you. Go to your MT4 chart and look at the very top and find this symbol like this, these symbols. Okay, so as you know, the Japanese candle is the one in the middle. The other one to the right would be, I think it would be your bar chart. Let me draw these out for you. So the Japanese candlestick, of course, we know it looks like this. It has a body and it may or may not have wicks. And so then the bar chart looks like this here. And then your line charts literally look like lines, okay? They just look like lines. All right, so I'll write the names for you so that you can write it down. You can test these and see which ones you like. Most traders use the Japanese candlesticks. These are your bar charts and your line charts. So when you are trading, most of us, again, will trade the Japanese candles. And so since I do not trade the other two, I'm going to erase them, but we know that this has to be how high this went, how low this went, it had to open and close, and vice versa for bullish and bearish. With the line charts, I do plot these on my chart, sometimes only when I'm drawing my trend lines and I need them to be right. So, okay, so I'm going to erase this, and I'm just going to draw out this Japanese candlestick real quick. Okay, so the reason we use these are because, like I explained to you in the other video, because you have wicks, which shows you how high it went. It shows you where it opened. It shows you where it closed. It gives you the blue or the green, and it also shows you how low it went. Everyone needs to know exactly what has taken place in the market. So it's easy to get on, on your chart and see blue or red. So we'll know what happened within that particular time frame. So who created these Japanese candlesticks? It was a gentleman by the name of Munahisa. I will write his name for you in case you would like to look him up. Trading has been going on a long time. Back in the 1800s, he used to trade rice in Japan. So let me put that, well, let me write his last name, Oma. He's from Japan, and he started trading in the 1800s. Can you imagine trading going back so far? So, and he actually traded with rice. He was a rice trader, and he realized that the patterns due to our emotions is what was moving, making these patterns for him to trade. So, of course, with supply and demand, in which is what we need. Let me show you that. I don't want you to be confused. I don't want to have too much stuff on this chart. You can always rewind it. So I know a lot of people look at supply and demand as support and resistance, because at one point I did too. And it's not that I don't. It's just that only at certain levels. And so I'll explain to you why. So for example, if we're going in an uptrend, right? Okay, this bottom part, yes, can be, because we know the bottom part we always use as our support. But as you can see, this is underneath that support. Why? Because this is a long rejection that moved away from it. So I'm going to put this as demand so that you can get a feel of what I'm talking about. And then the same for the very top. you will have your supply, and then the very top of all of these, the top parts are considered your resistance levels. So this is why people say that they are one and the same. Some people look at them as one and the same. I'm sorry, this light and sloppy. I have to get new markers today. But yeah, so some people will say that supply and demand are the same, but no. If you have a very long wick coming from here, let me scoot this over so you can see. If you have very long wicks being rejected at supply, it may also fall from your resistance level. You know what I mean? So your supply zones where you normally will look on maybe your weeklies and sometimes even 4 hours, it just depends. But I will say your weeklies and your dailies. I don't even know why I said 4 hours, because I definitely wouldn't look for supply and demand at 4 hours. It would be the weekly or the dailies, you know, to see if there has been any rejection. So what you can do is look on your chart, and when you see huge candles have been pushed away from a major zone, and you look backwards into your history and you see that price has been rejected at those zones several times, maybe 2-3 years back, sometimes even more, those are where you would draw your supply and demand zones. Now you can draw your supply and demand zones with your trend lines, which are also at the very top of your MT4 chart. You will see a horizontal line look like a minus line like this, and you will click it and you will plot it on your chart. Or you can go into your, I think it's file and then shapes, and use a rectangle to open it. Nevertheless, you can use your trend line and you can plot it and mark off your supply and your demand zones. Once you plot it there, double click it, and it's going to give you properties, trend line properties. You go into those trend line properties and select the size you want and the color you want. Okay. Now, if you want to keep it straight, because I know some of them give you the option to have like dots or little spaces like this. If you want to make the width, then you have to keep the line straight. And you will understand what I mean when you get there. But when you plot that on your supply and demand zones at those levels, those weekly or daily levels, or when you look to the left where you see price has been rejected and you mark them, make sure you click in that description where you mark them. Like say for instance, once you click the description, I will enter in there, this is a weekly zone 2018, so that you'll know when you put your cursor on it, if you have forgotten all about it and you're coming to a zone, trying to remember what color did I make my weekly or whatever, put your cursor on it and it'll have that description in the middle of that box for you. Okay, so now let me explain about the supplies. So I mean, not the supplies, the supports. So the supports are normally the end of those pullbacks in an uptrend, and then in a downtrend, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough space, so I'll try to make this small. So in a downtrend, the tops would be considered your resistance levels. Okay? So just try to remember that. That way it won't be so difficult for you to understand where is supply and where is demand. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.